And welcome back to Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the late night show for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a late night show. Wait, it's a website. Go there. It's only been a couple of weeks. I can still do this. Hey, I have a monologue for you. Let's get to the jokes. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were captured by Delta Force last Saturday as American President Donald Trump watched from a basement bunker in Mar-a-Lago, where we can assume he was screaming to Melania to bring him and his boys some more Mountain Dew and Cheetos Puffs. Melania, we need more Mountain Dew. Melania, fuck you, Melania. I hate you, Melania. Melania, I'm sorry. Melania, can we get the Cheetos Puff, please? During one of his many press conferences surrounding the captures, Trump said, "We will run the country until there is a safe, proper, judicious transition." These are the exact same phrases he used in his vows to Melania in January 2005. In an interview with NBC News, Trump suggests extended U.S. involvement in Venezuela, saying, "No, it's going to take a period of time. We have to nurse the country back to health, at which point he will sexually harass it at every chance that he can get." You have to watch the video, guys. You have to. In Fox News interview, Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Moreno, God damn it. In a Fox News interview, Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado praised Trump for Maduro's capture, to which Trump responded, "Wow, this reboot of Devious Maids is pretty outlandish." On January 6th, House Democrats held a special anniversary briefing where they finally gave Nancy Pelosi a brand new desk. Where was I? Prosecutors are pursuing a new case against New York Attorney General Letitia James and her hairdresser, and they must be out of their goddamn minds. House Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. introduced a new food pyramid that focuses on whole foods, proteins, and healthy fats, and surprisingly, roadkill is just somewhere in the middle. And finally, Wegovy's obesity pill is now available for purchase at pharmacies, where it'll cost as much as 3 Twix bars. And that's the monologue. Every single joke I have for you, including mistakes. Break that out in the social. Welcome back. I was writing the jokes. It is 5:20. I was writing the jokes, and if you see me look off to the side, my work laptop's up there. Anyway, and I thought, what happens is over the course of the week, I gather up all these headlines, and then I write the premise of the joke from the headline. Sometimes I write just the skeleton of the joke and I go, if there's the vows thing, just do that. Anyway, I had a bunch of headlines this time and maybe like one partially written joke. And then the problem was I got to that Wegovy thing and I went, oh, there's like 8 jokes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. 3, 6, 8. Sorry, I don't count. And I just went, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do all these jokes because I don't know if I'm going to have a lot to talk about. Cut to, there's 3 topics. I was just like, okay. Closing all the tabs. Okay. This week in late night, everybody returned with the exception of John Oliver, and I believe Bill Maher is on tonight. We'll talk about Bill Maher in a second. I know I'm not going to start including Bill Maher in this coverage. On the Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon had continued coverage of Stranger Things, a show which I did not watch. I've watched the first season when it came out, and I said, this is not for me. And then, I'll talk about this in Constitutionals, but the day after Christmas, I went, I think 2 days before Christmas, the day before Christmas Eve, I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch all that show. I think I can finish it in a week. And that's literally all I watched for a week. And I still don't like the show, but I wanted to be part of the conversation. So we got Sadie Sink, Sadie Sink, and then he had Josh Charles, the wonderful Josh Charles, who I love Sports Night. I'm not kidding. I love Sports Night, and I own Sports Night. I love that show. It's a great Aaron Sorkin show that is stuck in the decade in which it was made, and not even in the decade, in the years in which it was made. I'm always concerned about. I want to go. I've never seen West Wing. I've only seen clips, and I go, oh, I think I like these clips. I want to watch it, but I also don't want to watch a show that doesn't have like internet. I remember when years ago I was watching, before there was even a reboot even announced, before a reboot was even in the plans, I was watching Veronica Mars. Probably like 10, God, it's 2026. Oh, definitely like 12 years ago at this point. Anyway, I was watching Veronica Mars, and it's a show that came in when they were talking, like when Wi-Fi wasn't even established, and she goes, and I think there's like, she has to go to a character's house. She's like, oh, he has the internet. We have to use his computer, or like he has Wi-Fi. And I was like, that's crazy. No, it was, yeah, it was the internet, right? Anyway, I don't care. Who cares? AJR performed, Lucy Liu, Jamie Campbell Bower, Ramon Rodriguez, Colin Quinn did stand-up. Chelsea Handler was there. Sophie Turner was there. Sienna Spiro was there. Rose Byrne and Maya Hawk and Miguel performed. I saw Sadie Sink here in Atlanta on the Beltline. I was like, who's that pretty redhead? Just walk out of the Beltline. It was like 10 o'clock at night. And she and two other actors from Stranger Things were going to a bar because they were known to go hang out at this bar. And I was like, who's that beautiful redhead? Then I saw this little boy hopping up and down, making a show of everything he's doing. I was like, oh, that's the one with the lisp. And then I saw Finn Wolfhard. I was like, oh, that's Finn Wolfhard. And I went, oh, that's Sadie Sink. And then I was biking back, and they were on the opposite side of the street, and I was on one side of the street, and I was like, all that happened over the course of a light change, and then I went, oh God, I hope she's of age. Oh God, please be of age. And then I biked till it was like 10 o'clock, and I got home, and then I immediately checked. I was like, oh my God. Oh, and then Hudson Williams from Heated Rivalry was there as well. And then on Late Night with Seth Meyers, we were back with a bunch of closer looks. Kristen Stewart came by. Wagner Moura came by. What a handsome man. Wagner Moura. Sean Levy was there talking about his overindulgence on Stranger Things. And we also had a joke Seth can't tell. Carl Anthony Towns, Andrew Ross Sorkin were there as well. And then Jodie Foster, Simu Liu were there. And Idris Elba and Marissa Abela. For Jimmy Kimmel Live, they had, for some reason I'm 3 weeks ago. Ben Affleck, Aaron Doherty, Molly Tuttle performed, Joel Edgerton was there, Debbie Gibson performed, Nikki Glazer was there. I'm sure she talked about having sex or something. Being a woman. Alan Cumming, Taylor Dearden, Rachel Maddow, and Dennis Leary. And then the K-pop Demon Hunters, EJ, Audrey Nuna, and Riami performed a different version of Golden. I was watching the Taylor Dearden. This is so stupid. Before he said Taylor Dearden from the Pit, I looked at Taylor Dearden and I was like, who's her dad again? Who are her parents? It's like her parents are somebody famous. It's Bryan Cranston. She's a great actress. She's really good. And then on Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Ethan Hawke was there, and then the Late Show band did a little sketch. Julia Yoff was there. That's how quick I jumped from that. Jodie Foster. There was a Meanwhile, The Sound of Science. We got Tracy Letts, Natalie Portman's Questionnaire as well. Chris Hayes was there. I do like Chris Hayes, a very smart guy. Terry Gross was there, and Tom Hiddleston. And a Meanwhile. On The Daily Show, we had the return of Jon Stewart. He spoke to Mark Kelly. And then Ronnie Chang hosted the rest of the week, and he spoke to director Park Chan-wook and Stephen J. Dubner and Lucy Liu. And we also had appearances by, what's his name, Jordan Klepper, covering Benny Johnson, this right-wing media personality. I guess he's a host. He's had like multiple shows, but I don't know. I know who this guy is, but I dare not call him a news person because he doesn't do news. And then what's his name? Michael Costa did a plastics bit. And that's it. That's it on late night. Okay, now let's get into the meat of this. This comes from Deadline. Real Time with Bill Maher was renewed for 2 more seasons at HBO, written by Peter White. Real Time with Bill Maher is a show that... Oh, Bill Maher's coming back January 23rd. I thought it was coming out this Friday. Real Time with Bill Maher is a show that I distinctly... Before we had... Remember that before we had HBO... when I was living at home, consistently, instead of those free weekends, I always thought, what is this show? He seems like a funny guy. And then, we get these free weekends with HBO, and sometimes I would watch his stand up. And I'm like, oh, this guy's funny. He's telling the truth like it is. When you're some angsty senior in high school. Early college person. And then as you grow, hopefully you can make your own opinions, which is something we'll get into with a story about Conan that's coming up. I hate doing teases like that. I genuinely do. I hate watching a YouTube video and then somebody's reviewing a new phone, and they're like, that has 3 cameras, but I'll get to that in a second. Like, I'll just talk about the friggin' cameras right there. Anyway, and as we march forward in late night, and this show is Real Time with Bill Maher is a late night show. It comes on Fridays, and then by any account you could probably include Have I Got News for You as a late night show, but the British version is just a panel show, and I really wouldn't call it a late night show. But Graham Norton's show is a late night show. Anyway, I only cover so many shows, certain shows. But it's Real Time with Bill Maher is I'm always languishing about how Jimmy Kimmel Live and Steve. I looked down to remember what the name of the show was. Jimmy Kimmel Live and Late Show with Stephen Colbert. See, here I'm getting that mixed up. They're just microcosms of their fans applauding the jokes in quotes that are done during the monologue, and to that end, Real Time with Bill Maher is the exact same thing to it, like times 10. It's all the audience is from all the episodes I've ever seen, and I watched a lot of the show for a long time to a point where I got tired of Bill Maher. I'm feeling that with Colbert. Anyway, but it's just him spouting his nonsense, sometimes saying something that's salient, and then other times saying something that is just so out of touch with the regular, normal person that you would think, does he not know that? Like, I understand that he's rich, but does he not know that a regular person can't think that way or say that way or act that way? Anyway. And then I drifted away from it, obviously. But and things like this, during his panel segments, he has some good people on, a lot of bad people, a lot of stupid people. People who say things just to say things, and I've said this before. This is a show that, as much as I do not watch, it is a show that is at least needed, because to the very least, it's a different opinion from a side of the center left. I guess I don't fucking know where he lands. From a side of the political spectrum that isn't as loud, or no, excuse me. Because I'm saying, yeah, I'm gonna continue. It's not as loud as other people in his genre on television. So he's not in comparison with Kimmel or Colbert or Myers or Stewart. I'm leaving Fallon out of it because he's less political. But he is somebody with, unfortunately, valid opinions. Because if you silence somebody like that, then that gives you a chance. That gives everybody a chance to silence somebody like Kimmel, and we all know where that ended up. With him crying on TV for the 12th time. It's got Tony DeCopel doing it. Oh my God, I used to respect those people. How is Tony DeCopel going to cry twice in a week, within like 4 days? Then fire his producer. He didn't fire the producer. The producer was let go. Anyway. So this show, it's been around for 24 seasons, and it's going to at least be around until the end of 2028. There's no telling what they'll do with Last Week Tonight. I assume that Last Week Tonight will continue to move on. I'm going to sneeze. Is going to move on at some point, and continue as well, because that is a very popular show. That is at the exact, if Bill Maher is the center left, then Last Week Tonight is at least in a better province of that left. And I'm not saying that Bill Maher's center left is bad. I'm saying I just don't like Bill Maher. Let's just put it that way. I don't like Bill Maher that much. It's the show should continue, and it's going to continue in the way that he wants it to, in a way that he's going to continue doing that podcast Club Random where he blows smoke in people's faces, literally, unnecessarily too. I don't know why. Also, I don't know who's listening to that or watching it. Bill Maher rolling a doobie. You see, I'm smoking, boy. You smoking. Can you not smoke, please? I have asthma. You sure don't want this? But we need a show in the same way that, to some extent, we do need these ass clowns at Fox News. Not even, like, just because we can't all be drenched in the same ideals, because you have to know what you're against. Otherwise, it just becomes this cavalcade of the same things. You're spinning your wheels over and over again. And then hopefully things get better. Things have not gotten better for anyone. Just look at this past week. It's gotten better for racists. I have another story for you. This comes from Deadline, written by Peter White. Jimmy Kimmel Live is reducing its volume of musical artists each week. I've said this time and again. Jimmy Kimmel Live has been probably the best place for music performances in late night in the past few years. But now we're seeing that number drop. The musical performances each week will be around 2. It's not a hard number, and the show has not always had musical slot on each episode, but the plan is to reduce it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there were 3 performances: Molly Tuttle, Debbie Gibson, and the Huntrix. But that was a special occasion. Tons and tons of late night shows have been changing things up in order to continue until to move forward. Late Night with Seth Meyers. We saw before the musical, before the house band, Fred Armisen's house band was dissolved. I don't even think we saw musical performances with them besides them for months at that point, right? We used to get the audience used to get Broadway shows and musical performances, and sometimes stand up. There was stand up on Late Night Seth Meyers, right? Yeah. But now all we get is longer, closer looks. It's an effort to save money, and if less musical performances means, I believe Kimmel renewed for another year, means we get another year of Kimmel, then fine, because that doesn't hurt anybody as long as the Klee tones are still there, you know. Apparently, this comes from Consequence of Sound. Musical performances on Late Night in total dropped from around 800 between 2011 and 2013 to closer to 200 in 2023. Wow. Hollywood Reporter reported that Jimmy Kimmel Live music producer Jim Pitt had started informing people, presumably artist managers, record labels, and promo bookers, that the show would cut its number down. Yeah, it stinks. It's just these networks aren't going to pay for what they consider bloat. And then you hear Paramount canceled, CBS canceled Colbert's Late Show because it costs, so much money, like $40 million or something like that. They lose $40 million a year or whatever, how much they lose. But doesn't it pay back in dividends because people need somewhere to come and promote their shit? I don't know. All right, and finally, this comes from I just closed the friggin' link. This comes from Late Nighter, written by Jed Rosenwig. What's missing from the Conan O'Brien clip making the rounds on right-wing media? Now, Conan spoke to the Oxford Union Society, probably a white affiliated thing. Fits right in with the right-wing stuff. And there he spoke to them. It was a wide, encompassing conversation, talking to, I believe, the graduates, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was an hour long. He does this from time to time, and not graduates or the people. I don't give a shit. Anyway, and there's essentially a 1-minute selection where he says comedians that have made their acts just F Trump all the time. They've essentially ruined their comedy. The quote is, "You've put down your best weapon, which is being funny, and exchanged it for anger." Rosenwig writes, he adds that no matter how serious the political moment, comedians, quote, always need to be funny. And that 1-minute clip is being taken out of the most context of anything so far this year. You got people from like Piers Morgan, Elon Musk, some Daily Caller fucko saying something about it, and then there's a 5-minute segment from Fox News Business on the show Big Money show. Now here's the point of it is he's not talking about his peers that are Kimmel and Colbert. He's talking about the people in the same way that if you listen to the Constitutionals, and you know that I put out interviews with comedians called The Interviews. It's I complain to these comedians about how modern day comedy is just involves comedians putting out what's it called? They do the thing with the audience. They're talking to the audience instead of writing jokes. He's talking about that. He's talking about the people who make all of their comedy F Trump, F Trump, F Trump, clap, 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 clap. Whereas people used to be just writing jokes and just trying to be funny. And it is unfortunate that these idiots, these morons are deciding to only look at 1 minute and then not look at the surrounding context. Because the idea is that you shouldn't rely on one thing. You shouldn't just be making statements and expecting that to be a career path. The idea is comedy is a thing for that can have topics that are wide ranging. And we are missing that when it comes to what comedy is now. And I know this is a late night show. To some extent, I will say this because he did say Kimmel and Colbert are doing a good job. There is something people complain about Fallon. There is something about Jimmy Fallon not taking a lot of jabs at Trump. I genuinely forgot his name. At Trump. There is something to that because it's okay to be silly. And we don't always have to cover the same conversations over and over and over again because then we get nowhere. Now, I'll take it a little bit further that Conan will not say anything about Colbert and Kimmel. I've been saying it for months. All it is like their monologues is these guys are making statements and then people are clapping. At some point, you have to write jokes. And that's why I prefer Seth, because he's doing the political comedy and he's making it funny. And the applause breaks are earned as opposed to foisted upon the audience or expected from the audience. Anyway, that's it. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to the aforementioned celebrities. B-list. Some A-list. Put a lot of B-list, C-list stuff. Some D. Just gets lower and lower. If you want to see a video version of this show, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. Where you can see a video version of the other podcasts, LinkedIn Logs, the Jaws podcast, and the Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News podcast, as well as video versions of the interviews. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media, C Plus Comedy, on TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. Me at Chad Black White on those platforms. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.